Thank you, Chris. Hi. So we've been putting together this conference for a little while, and as we started thinking about what we're going to do, I was talking to my wife, and I said, I think we're going to do a conference on influencers, and she said, "Is that kind of like getting your book in Oprah's book club?" And I said, "Yes." And then I spoke to a former client, and he said, "Oh, is that kind of like that thing you guys did with scene anners in Minecraft?" And I said, "Yes, it is." And I need the remote here. And what it's sort of gotten me to realize is that influencer marketing is really broad and means a lot of different things. And so as we're putting together these panels, it became evident that we kind of need to at least look at a snapshot overall of what is influencer marketing on a whole scale, and are there ways to sort of break down different versions of it. So that's what I'm going to do for 5 minutes here. So, okay. So this guy's name is Jim Montgomery. Jim lives in Portland, Oregon, and Jim likes beer. Jim has 10,000 Twitter followers, and he'll take pictures of just a beer that he's got and the bottle next to it, and he'll say, "This is a nice IPA," and he'll talk about where he is and where he's enjoying it. And he sends this out, and he has a lot of people who follow him, and a lot of people care about what he has to say. And he's an influencer, and he makes a big difference on people, maybe mostly in Portland, and mostly in sort of this tight group of beer lovers, but he also has a club. It's called Beer Maven over there, where he sort of syndicates the content that he has. So he's one type of influencer. This is Ruth Veltoro. Ruth is a mommy blogger. For those who don't know what a mommy blogger is, she talks about raising her family, and she talks about running her household, and she talks about tips and tricks of how to do things, and she talks about products she likes and things that she's learned. And brands like working with people like her. She has 35,000 Facebook followers, as well as she syndicates her blog in many other places. People like working with her because they can give her product, she'll give it away, she'll talk about it, she can do great things for brands if they're relevant to her audience. So there's another type of influencer. This gentleman is Zach King. Is Zach here yet? Zach, are you here? Zach will be here. For those of you who don't know who Zach is, Zach, among other things that he's done, he's created a huge following on Vine. I think he's got probably 2 million followers on Vine, and he makes the most amazing eye sort of twisting content with special effects and just really amazing stuff, and I'm sure he's going to show some of that to you today. He's going to be coming up here. He also works with brands, so he's another type of influencer. And my last example here is Beyonce. Beyonce, is she here? Where's she? So Beyonce, I was taking a look at, Beyonce's got 15 million Instagram followers, and I was taking a look at those, and she posted a pair of shoes, and she said, "These are cute." And then after that, there was a whole conversation about, where did you get them? Where can I get them? How much are they, etc. And so she can do very, very little, and it's like Oprah's book club. She can do very, very little to make a huge influence and impact on a brand just because of her following and how devoted they are to her. So here's a bunch of different types of influencers. What do they have in common? How are they different? So one thing I'll talk about is the find versus buy continuum. You can imagine that guys like Jim, the beer guy, are maybe a little closer to the PR side, and some of the other influencers that are perhaps more expensive might be a little bit more towards the paid media side. And this is what find versus what I mean by that. So if you take a look at sort of a vertical axis here, one group has the target you want. You want their eyeballs. They may not necessarily care about your product yet, but you want the people that they're already talking to. So these people are somewhat easy to find, but they're probably a little bit more expensive. And then there's the other people who naturally, they may already love your brand or love something very close to it. They're hungry to receive what you have. These people are harder to find. They probably have smaller audiences, but they're lower cost. And what we're talking about really spans this entire continuum. It's not at one end. Some people think of it all at the target ownership end, but it's not. It's all the way across this whole sort of band. Another is this creation continuum, I'll call it, and that is what are they making? So on one end, it's a mention. It's what Beyonce did. It's a photo. It's not a lot of effort, but still very impactful. A blog. On another end is a piece of original content that the influencer has intentionally made and customized for the particular brand that they're working with to integrate that brand within the content. And so there's sort of a range there too, where you have something that's more like a placement or an endorsement, it's turnkey, and all the way up to original content. We're gonna see people today that span this whole different range. So if you put those two kind of axes together, you can see that there is quite a field of different ways you can categorize influencers. And hopefully this helps, for some people who came in with a certain notion about what an influencer is, broadens the definition a bit, makes you think about it on a new level. And I think actually the 4 examples that I showed you a little earlier fit in the 4 different quadrants that are on here. So there's quite a lot to influencer marketing, for sure. What are some of the things that these groups all have in common? Well, they influence, no doubt, right? The gentleman on the right there is Shay Carl. Shay is also he's probably not here yet, he's probably on the way from the airport. Shay Carl is awesome, really looking forward to his keynote at the end of the day today. They influence, they create. They're creating something, whether it be a mention, whether it be a blog, whether it be an original piece of content, and they're part of like-minded communities, some of the things I just mentioned. In fact, influencers, let's talk about, actually I would love to see a show of hands of people who have worked on influencer marketing campaigns. Can you guys hold your hands up? So that's more than 65%, congratulations. Technorati said that for 65% of major brands in the US have reported on participating in influencer campaigns, so it's a big deal. In terms of creators, you know, we all talk about how people are using their DVRs and skipping commercials, and they're hitting skip ad on YouTube, and they're cynical of content, and they don't want to be, cynical of advertising, and they don't want to be sold to. So what a great way to combat that through influencers by having things be organic and in the voice of people who already have a built-in audience, who want to consume this content. They're going after it. And then finally, the community. I don't really have a source for this one, but I can say that gentlemen like, for example, the beer example, Jim, that I showed you at the beginning, that guy wants, if you're creating a beer, he wants you to call him. He wants you to say, here's a free case, try it out, talk about it. Come visit my factory. I'm gonna give you some news about the beer that I'm making before anybody else. They want that. So if you can reach out and you can find these people in this community, and we're gonna hear about the BCN at Ayzenberg a little later on, which helps with this a lot. If you can find these people and activate them, what a powerful, wouldn't you love to have a gym in every city around the US if you're launching a beer in the US? Absolutely. So that's kind of sort of hopefully a little bit of a framework. Told you I wasn't gonna take too long to think about the day as we meet a lot of the folks that are gonna come up here. And I'm really excited about what we have today. And actually, I'm very excited to hear from our first guest, who is the head of brand insights and strategy at Google and YouTube. Did I get that right? And he's got a really cool business called Zoo that he's going to tell you more about, and he's going to talk about hypertelling with you. Eric Solomon, please come on up. Please give him a hand.